Hello all. So I discovered something in history that I didn't even know about, and it was purely by accident. I wanted to show you what I have found out, and it's fascinating. Now, everyone else may have found this out already and know all about it. I'm going to have a poll this time, and it'll be at the end of the video, and I'll tell you then how to take the poll, and we'll find some things out about what everyone else knew about this program. Okay, let's go over to the board, and I'll explain to you what happened as far as what I learned. Back in the 60s and 70s, the U.S. was having a competition with Russia on who got to the moon first, who landed on the moon first, and as far as I know, I didn't know that Russia had already been on the moon way before the U.S. ever got there, really. Let's talk about what the USSR back in the 60s and 70s accomplished. They were the very first country to have a robotic lunar rover program from 1969 to 1977. They had approximately 4 planned moon landings. The first one was Lunokhod 0, which was launched in 1970. Lunokhod 1, which was launched in 1970 as well, the later part of the year, and then Lunokhod 2, 1973, and Lunokhod 3, 1977. So this program had some successes. Let me go over and start with Lunokhod 0, Lunokhod 1, and Lunokhod 2. Okay, so Lunokhod 0, the first one, was destroyed on the launch pad and never made it to orbit. But Lunokhod 1 blasted off, went to the moon, landed, the rover came off the platform and traveled over 10,540 meters, or 6.55 miles. So what it would do is it would be remotely controlled by the ground crew in the USSR, and they would drive for a little bit, and then they would have to stop, and I'll show you a picture right here of what these rovers look like. As you can see, there's a lid on it here which has solar panels, and they would stop and charge it for a little while, and then they would drive it a little bit and do tests, and they did all kinds of cool tests. I'll explain to you the tests that these rovers did on the moon later on. But day after day they drove around on the moon. For months and months it drove around. It sent back 20,000 television pictures, 206 panoramic full resolution pictures back, and took 25 lunar soil samples and analyzed them with many different types of instruments. Absolutely amazing that this happened, and nobody here even knows it happens. I've talked to many people and they've never even heard of it, heard of the program at all, didn't even know that existed. So they had quite a success with number 1, so they went ahead and blasted off number 2. The second one was launched in January 15th. The mission went on for about 4 months. The rover drove a total of 37 kilometers, or 23 miles. It took 80,000 television pictures and 68 panoramic images. Plus it did a whole bunch of soil sample tests and other tests, including a laser test, which is a whole nother story about this. So the third one was built and was supposed to be launched in 1977, but they ran out of funding. What were the payloads that were on Lunokhod 1? Well, it was quite a lot of equipment considering the year. I mean, it's pretty much amazing. They were able to clock how many miles they went. They were able to watch 2 separate television streams of slow scan television. They were also had 4 panoramic cameras taking pictures. They were able to test how solid the soil was, and they could figure out how much each bit of soil they tested would hold under pressure, so that if you wanted to know whether you could drive or make a road over that surface, they knew exactly whether they could or couldn't with this equipment. Let's go over and look at number 2. So Lunokhod 2 also had quite a payload considering the year. Lunokhod 2 was obviously a better craft with 1 more camera for television, so they had 3 slow scan television streams all at the same time. They had 4 panoramic cameras going. They also took this laser reflector idea was quite interesting. So this laser reflector was a really cool idea. What they did is they took a highly polished reflector for laser light, and they beamed a laser beam from the USSR up to these two rovers and could tell exactly what the distance between that laser and the Earth was at the point where they were measuring, to very, very close accuracy. In fact, to this very day, both of the lasers are being used still to reflect laser light from the Earth to the Moon and back, and scientists will tell you that the most reflective laser reflectors on the Moon are both of these. They're the best built that has ever been put on the Moon. Unfortunately, both these crafts came to an end. Both of them ended up falling into a crater. One was able to get out, but the problem was that when number 2 fell into the crater, dirt thrown on top of it, which then caused it to overheat during the lunar day, which is 2 weeks here on Earth. And the craft quickly overheated and quit working, and that was the end of that one. But it was quite a success considering what time of the year it was, and in fact, let's go over to the board and see exactly who has the long distance rover record, and it turned out to be Russia right up until lately. So here's a list of all the rovers that have been deployed throughout our galaxy, mostly on the Moon and on Mars. As you can see, they go from hardly anything all the way up to 40.25 kilometers. Lunokhod 2 held the record of longest distance rove until 2014, and then Opportunity took over and is still going today. And this story isn't over, because the ownership of Lunokhod 2 has been changed from the USSR over to Richard Garrett, the son of the astronaut Garrett, here in the US. It was sold a Sotheby's auction in New York City for $68,500 in 1993. The reason he said he wanted it was because he was the first one. He wanted bragging rights to be able to say that he's the first civilian to own something on a different planet. A lot of money to spend just on that. Sounds like an ego trip or something. So all that information I had no idea even happened. I didn't even have any idea that that had happened in history, and I follow space news quite regularly, and I was really surprised at that. So above here, above this finger here, there'll be a right about here I think will be a little dropout thing, and you can click on that and take the poll, and in the poll I'm asking whether or not did you know about the Lunokhod program in Russia. So I'd appreciate it if you took the poll, and I definitely appreciate all the ups and the downs and the new subscribers, and until next time.